Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Corona Hoops TV here exclusively on YouTube. I want to thank everybody for all the support, tremendous feedback I'm getting, and I look forward to getting more of you guys' support. Now, without further ado, this episode is going to be more of a little podcast style, straight off the dome. I'm going to give you my Eastern and Western Conference predictions for the playoffs, for the standings in each conference. So without further ado, let's begin. At number 15, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to do the Eastern Conference first. I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, they have nobody really good on their team. I mean, you got Sexton. He'll give you 20 points, but on bad efficiency. Kevin Love's trying to get out of there. Andre Drummond's useless. Like, what is Cleveland going to do? Like, they need to get a good pick. They need to get the rebuild started in a better way than they have so far. And number 14, I have everybody's favorite worst team, the New York Knicks. Like, Knicks have nobody. Like, I mean, you look at their offseason, they signed Austin Rivers, Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks. Like, what are you going to do with those players? You're going to win 25 games, if that? Like, I mean, that's just... Like, what are you going to do? At 13, I have the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls is an interesting team. I like some of their pieces. I like Kobe White. I like Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine's in a bad situation in Chicago. I mean, he needs to get traded. He needs to ask for a trade and get the hell out of Chicago because they're another team. They have no direction right now. Like, where are you guys going? They got Wendell Carter Jr., you got Larry Markkinen, you got Zach LaVine. You have good pieces, but they're not able to tie any of it together. At number 12, I have the Detroit Pistons. Detroit Pistons have some good players on their team. They got Derrick Rose. You got Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin coming off knee surgery for like the 12th time in his career. You have Killian Hayes. That's a good little pickup they had. Jerry Grant overpaid him, but I mean, you're Detroit. Nobody's going to try and come there voluntarily, so you got to overpay people. At number 11 is everybody's new favorite team to watch, the Charlotte Hornets. You got Devontae Graham, you got Terry Rozier, you still got that backcourt. They added number 3 overall pick, LaMelo Ball. Tons of hype coming into the season for LaMelo. Potential Rookie of the Year candidate, so we'll see how they all gel together. You still got Cody Zeller, you got PJ Washington, Bridges, and they also added Gordon Hayward. I mean, you overpaid for him, but same thing with Detroit. Like, who's trying to come to Charlotte? So, I mean, $30 million a year for Gordon Hayward's not ideal, but at least you get something. At number 10, I have the Orlando Magic, just missing out on the playoffs. I mean, nothing really happened for them. Hopefully, they see some improvement with Fultz. I mean, Jonathan Isaac's out for the year. Aaron Gordon's that potential that everybody thought he had 4 years ago is still waiting. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen with Gordon. Vucevic is a 20-10 guy. So, really, I mean, you hope Fultz is just going to improve his game. At number 9, I have the Indiana Pacers. Just missing on the playoffs. The Indiana Pacers are just subject to the rest of the East just got better. I mean, they didn't do anything. Victor Oladipo is coming off a quad injury. My apologies. And you just don't know if he's going to be able to recover and be the former All-Star. You have Brogdon, you have Sabonis, you have Turner, you have Warren. You still have a solid team, but just missing out on the playoffs. At number 8, I have the newly formed Washington Wizards. You have the best backcourt in the league, in my opinion, in Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. You have Rui Hachimura, you have Thomas Bryant, you have Davis Bertans, you have Robin Lopez. It's not a bad team. 8th seed. I mean, the first seed's probably going to make quick work of them, but Westbrook's good enough to get them into the playoffs. At number 7, we have a surprise pick in the Atlanta Hawks. I love what they did in the offseason, adding Gallinari, Bogdanovich, Rondo, Chris Dunn, with all those young players they have on there. Capella's going to be healthy this year. They have a good team, good depth, so you just hope they're going to tie it in all together and make the playoffs. At number 6, I have the reigning Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat. Everybody knows they were a Cinderella story last year. They could match it this year. You still got Tyler Hero. You still got Jimmy Butler. You still got Bam Adebayo. You still got Kendrick Nunn, Dragic. It's basically the same team they brought in last year for the finals. So you hope they could reiterate some of that magic and make a good run this year. At number 5, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. The 76ers had a really interesting offseason, adding Danny Green, Seth Curry, adding some shooting with Simmons and Embiid. They added Doc Rivers, good coach. So you just wonder if the Simmons and Embiid, if they're going to try it one more time and then see what happens. I mean, James Harden is on the trade block. There's been rumors of Ben Simmons for James Harden swap. So you wonder if that's going to happen. And as a team set right now, I do believe they're 5th seed in the East. As a 4th seed, I have the Brooklyn Nets. It all depends on how many games Kyrie and KD are able to play. Kyrie's had injury problems his whole career. KD is KD coming off an Achilles injury, so you wonder how he's going to recover. You got Karis LeVert, you got Dinwiddie, you got DeAndre, you got Joe Harris. You still got great pieces there, so they're a 4th seed in the East. As a 3rd seed, I got the Toronto Raptors. The Raptors, I mean, they didn't have the best offseason. They lost Gasol, they lost Ibaka, but they did still re-sign Fred VanVleet, so that's great. And they got Kyle, they got OG, they have Siakam still, and they added Aaron Baines in the offseason as well. So not a horrible offseason, but not one of the best. They're still a very solid 3 seed. As a 2 seed, I have the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics had an underwhelming offseason. They didn't really add anybody and lost Gordon Hayward. They added Tristan Thompson. I mean, he's not bad. Jeff Teague sort of certified that bench a little bit, but it's not much. They still got Tatum. They still got Kemba. They still got Jaylen Brown. That's a solid big 3 right there. So they'll stay in that 2nd seed. And number 1, you have the Milwaukee Bucks. No surprises here. The Milwaukee Bucks are the best team in the East in the regular season. They have a top 5 player in Giannis. They have a top 5 two-way player in Jrue Holiday. Very underrated player in this league. They got Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez. They still have a very, very good team. Just at this point, we're sick and tired of them in being the 1 seed. It's all about proving it in the playoffs and not losing to the Miamis and the Torontos of the world. And now to my Western Conference predictions. At number 15, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, flat out, they have nobody on their team except for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So, I mean, he's going to put up probably 25, 8, and 8. But, I mean, there's nobody else on that team. So, they have lots of draft capital. So, look forward to see how the rebuild goes for them. But in terms of right now, there's not much that OKC is going to offer us. As a 14th seed, I have the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings might have been a 10th seed in the East. That just shows you how absolutely stacked the Western Conference is. They have Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox is a great player. Bagley might come up soon with some great plays and hopefully show up more than he has so far. I mean, I bet Sacramento wish they had Doncic at this point. But they still have Harrison Barnes signed Whiteside, so not a horrible team, but 14th in the West. It's tough. Number 13, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves had a good offseason. They had the first overall pick, Anthony Edwards. That's going to help. They got re-signed Malik Beasley. They got D'Lo. They got Cat. They have Hernan Gomez, Okogie. They have a great offensive team. The problem is are they going to be able to stop anybody? I mean, there's nobody on there that's a plus defender. I mean, they'll score 125, but they might just give up 130 every night. At number 12, I have the San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs had 22 straight years in the playoffs. I mean, anchored by Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili, and then after a little bit of Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge. But that era is gone. Now they have DeRozan. DeRozan's a good player, but he's not enough by himself to take him and Aldridge by themselves to take you into the Western Conference playoffs when the Western Conference playoffs are that stacked. At number 11, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies didn't do much in the offseason, but they have hopefully get some internal development in there with Ja Morant becoming a near all-star. You still got Jaren Jackson Jr., you got Brandon Clark, Dylan Brooks, and you got the big man in the middle there, Jonas Valanciunas. So not a bad team, probably a playoff team in the East, but in this tough Western Conference, they're the 11th seed. At number 10, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. The Pelicans had not the best offseason. I mean, they gave up Drew Holiday. They got Eric Bledsoe back in return and quite a lot of picks, so they're good in the future with the Anthony Davis picks, the Drew Holiday picks. They might be able to package that in a deal for, who knows, maybe a James Harden or if any other star comes on the block, because they have lots of young, good players. They have Lonzo, they have Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson's going to come healthy this year. Steven Adams was a great pickup for them. So not a bad team. Might be able to make the playoffs tight, but the West is just so deep. At 9, this is going to come to a surprise to everybody, but we have the Houston Rockets. Yeah, the Houston Rockets. This all depends on if James Harden ever suits up for the Rockets ever again. I mean, without them, I don't think they're even worse than the 9th seed, but Harden, you're playing like this, you're playing good, but you don't show up in the playoffs, and you got John Wall off an Achilles injury. I mean, John Wall hasn't played a game in 2 years. You got DeMarcus Cousins off an Achilles injury. Christian Wood was a decent pickup for them. You still got Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker. I mean, you're going to be okay. You're going to be hovering around that 500, but the West is just too deep. Next up, as the 8th seed, I have the Uprise Suns with Chris Paul. Chris Paul was an amazing pickup for them. They were able to get him for quite a decent price, but you got now Chris Paul, you signed Jay Crowder, you got Sarge still, and then you got those Ayton and Booker, the young players there. So the Suns squeezing the playoffs. Devin Booker's first playoffs in his NBA career, and I look forward to seeing them in the playoffs. Next up, we have the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz were a surprise team last year. I don't know if many people expected them to be as good as they did. I mean, they did also go up 3-1 on the Nuggets and lost. They have Mitchell, they have Gobert, they have Conley, they have Bogdanovich, but it's the same thing. I think they're pretty much how the Pacers were in the PG era. Like, you're going to hover around. You might be fringe contenders maybe one year or the other, but you're never going to make the finals. You're never going to make maybe even one conference final if you're lucky in the West. But I think it's time to maybe switch that up. Maybe trade Gobert, see what you could get for him. I mean, Mitchell's slowly starting to become like a PG of the East when PG was on Indiana. So hopefully they could make some moves, maybe find a good co-star for Donovan and get them a higher seed. Next up, I have the Portland Trailblazers. The Portland Trailblazers had a great offseason, adding Rocco, Derrick Jones Jr., Enes Kanter, solidifying that bench, along with, you got probably the second best backcourt in the league in Dame and CJ. So it's a great addition. You still got Melo giving you 16 a night. That guy's just a walking bucket. So I look forward to the Trailblazers and see what they could offer us. Next up, I have the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are still the Warriors. You still got Curry. You still got Draymond. You added Wiggins. You added Oubre. You added Wiseman. Like, you're gonna have. I mean, no Thompson. If they had Thompson, they'd probably be a top 3 seed. But even without Thompson, these guys are gonna make the playoffs, barring everybody stays healthy. Next up, you have the Los Angeles Clippers. Yep, I have the Clippers as a 4th seed just because I feel like they're going to be resting Kawhi a lot. They're going to rest PG a lot. And Kawhi and PG are still both top 15 players. You added Ibaka in the offseason. Lou Will's on the trade market, so maybe they're looking to add a better or a more defensive-oriented six-man. You got added Luke Kennard, so you still got a great team, but they're a 4th seed just because I think PG and Kawhi are going to rest a lot. As the 3rd seed, I have the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Mavericks are going to win a lot of games this year based solely on the fact that Doncic is just gross. Doncic is slowly becoming the best player in this league. I mean, Giannis is up there. I mean, LeBron still got the throne. LeBron, King James, still King James. And it's evident by how he won last year's Finals MVP. But Doncic is getting there. He's my prediction for season MVP. So I think he's going to have a great year. Porzingis is going to be out. Just more options for Doncic to score. And I just think that the Dallas Mavericks have built a great system around him. And it's going to be a good year to watch the Dallas Mavericks. The 2nd seed, I have the Denver Nuggets. Forgot about those guys, but I'm surprised I did because those guys are going to be right there at the end of the season. They got Jamal Murray. He's going to, if there was an All-Star game this year, he'd probably make he'd be my pick to make an All-Star team. You got Jokic, top 10 player in this league. You have Gary Harris. You have Will Barton. Good 3-and-D guys. And you also got Michael Porter Jr., a great wild card. Look forward to see what he can do this year. And I hope he has a breakout season. Maybe become Most Improved Player of the Year award. Tons of potential over there in Denver. They're still young. And great things hopefully to come for them. As number 1 seed, no surprises here as well. You got the Los Angeles Lakers, reigning champs, and they only just got better in the offseason, adding Schroeder, Harrell, Wesley Matthews, along with you still got KCP, you still got Kuzma, you still got AD, and you still got LeBron. You added Gasol as well. Like their depth's there. You got ESPN says you got the 2 best players in the league on the exact same team. They're going to be tough to beat. I mean, LeBron might rest a few games, AD might rest a few games, but you still got the best duo in the league, hands down. And I look forward to seeing how their season plays out. And I'm looking forward to see how the whole season plays out, as this is going to be an interesting year, very well balanced in both conferences. And I look forward to seeing all the storylines manufactured. Once again, I appreciate all the love I'm getting on my channel. Again, this is a little bit different style, a little podcast style. If you guys would like me to start a podcast, drop a like down below. And I would love to start a podcast. Maybe get some guests in there, and we could talk about how each and every team stacks up against each other. Once again, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. And I look forward to hearing from all of you soon. Cheers.